Welcome to the Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. The CDC claims the new scientific data prompted the change to its mask guidance. But when asked to present the data, the CDC says it's not available. After weeks of negotiations, the White House announced a bipartisan infrastructure bill. But some Republican senators aren't buying it. 17-year-old swimmer Lydia Jacoby pulled off a stunning upset, winning gold at the Tokyo Olympics. After claiming vaccine mandates are legal, the DOJ made another astonishing move. This time, it warned states against election audits. Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together. We reported yesterday that the CDC had a new guideline on mask wearing indoors. Well, that recommendation is looking dubious, to say the least. The studies that allegedly prompted the health agency to direct vaccinated individuals to wear masks are nowhere to be found on its website. With many pressing the agency for the evidence, one of its representatives replied yesterday that the studies have not yet been published. A lot of states have no desire to bring back masks anyways. Even if the studies Dr. Rochelle Walensky talked about were peer-reviewed, the key question still hasn't been addressed. Is the kind of mask the most people wear effective in curbing the spread of the disease? Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds said the agency's last update is not grounded in reality or common sense. Texas Governor Greg Abbott's office stated, "The time for government mandating of masks is over. Now is the time for personal responsibility. Every Texan has the right to choose whether they will wear a mask or have their children wear masks." Amid the strong backlash, the Department of Homeland Security was, however, keen to take up the CDC's advice. The federal agency has announced all of its 240,000 employees will have to wear a mask indoors and physically distance, effective immediately, and regardless of vaccination status. Yet the more acute issue is about the vaccine mandate. A public interest law firm, Liberty Counsel, is now challenging Veterans Affairs, the first federal agency to mandate COVID-19 vaccines. Founder and chairman of the company, Matt Saver, issued an opinion very different from the Department of Justice. He said, "The COVID shots have only been approved for experimental and investigational use. Under the Federal Emergency Use Authorization Law, these shots cannot be mandated or administered without the free and full consent of the individual. The VA has no authority to mandate the COVID shots. Federal employees are also protected by the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. Forcing any person to receive one of these COVID injections is a violation of federal law. It is shocking that a federal agency would brazenly violate federal law. Following Saver's statement, it is more shocking that the DOJ defended the violation. At the very least, Saver has made a compelling argument. By comparison, we found the DOJ's 18-page opinion on the mandate daunting. It was just too hard to read." Yesterday, in another part of the government, the White House announced that Joe Biden and a group of senators have reached what they call a historic $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill after weeks of talks. The deal includes $550 billion in new infrastructure investment and will create about 2 million jobs a year for the next decade. 2 million jobs a year? That appears to be a highly ambitious number. However, the bill isn't focused on actual infrastructure. Only 20% of the funds will go to roads and bridges. Much of the debate was around fund allocation and how to pay for the measure. The White House says the deal will be financed through a combination of unused COVID relief funds, targeted corporate user fees, more tax on cryptocurrencies, and economic growth from the infrastructure investment. While no tax increase is mentioned, the description on the financing is vague. Outside the negotiation group, a good number of Republican senators hold an unfavorable view of the deal. Senator Ron Johnson, along with Senators Rick Scott, Marsha Blackburn, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, and many others, have rallied against the bipartisan effort. They said that charging the bill would only enable Democrats' leftist agenda. Johnson said if Republicans are cooperative and complicit with the seemingly benign $1 trillion infrastructure bill, the measure is just going to be a backfill with more long-term entitlement, welfare, liberal, radical, wish list spending proposals. Former President Trump also voiced strong opposition. He said the so-called bipartisan deal will be heavily used in the 2022 election by Democrats. It makes the Republicans look weak, foolish, and dumb. It sets an easy glide path for Dems to then get beyond what anyone thought was possible in future legislation. Well, the Democrats did warn everyone beforehand. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer made it clear that there will be a $3.5 trillion partisan budget plan coming, packed with real liberal goodies. It'll be nothing about infrastructure spending. And knowing that it won't pass under normal conditions, they're going to get rid of Republicans and invoke budget reconciliation. But in the real world, things are always more complicated than what you plan on. The very day that the White House announced the bipartisan deal, the now famous centrist Democrat Senator Kyrsten Sinema reiterated she told colleagues, including Biden, she does not support a $3.5 trillion price tag on the second bill. Her comments immediately drew attacks from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The squad member was previously unimpressed with Biden's initial $2 trillion infrastructure proposal and called for a figure of $10 trillion. AOC said to Sinema, "Good luck tanking your own party's investment on childcare, climate action, and infrastructure while presuming you'll survive a 3-vote House margin." And she didn't forget to play the race card. She continued, especially after choosing to exclude members of color from negotiations and calling that a bipartisan accomplishment. On Wednesday evening, 17 Republican senators voted with Democrats, advancing the bipartisan bill to Senate debate. In the White House, Biden's unilateral plan to forgive federal student loans is causing a ruckus. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says Biden doesn't have the legal authority to cancel the loans. He can only pause or delay the loan payments. House Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and other leftist Democrats, however, have argued that Biden could forgive student loans. He could use the same executive action that former President Trump did to delay debt payments amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Schumer has been issuing nearly daily tweets for months, insisting that Biden should forgive all student loans. Actually, the student debt amnesty has already begun. In March, the Department of Education, in scrapping a Trump-era policy, canceled $1 billion in student loans for approximately 72,000 borrowers. On July 9th, Biden forgave another $56 million in student debts. However, within the Democratic Party, there are two major concerns about all of this. First, it's not fair for the people who worked hard and already paid off their debts. It would set a very bad example to cancel the rest. Second, how will the government pay for that much in student loans? The far left has been calling for free college education and free health care. But just like what we discussed about Canada's universal health care system, all of these are not free. Everyone has to pay for it. Higher taxes would be on the way. Next up, some great news. The US wins gold in Tokyo, and then the DOJ is running interference for leftists. And we have UFO sightings. But before we continue, I want to take a quick second to ask all my friends watching and the live chat family to please take a moment to hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, but most importantly, share this video. I'm depending on you, my friends, and the power of word of mouth to spread the truth. Also, to support the Eye Opener team, please donate to the show or purchase a mug that matters. You can find the link in the description below, and your support, as always, is greatly appreciated. Salute. 17-year-old Lydia Jacoby is the first U.S. female swimmer to win gold at the Tokyo Olympics. Lydia also made history being the first swimmer from Alaska to win an Olympic gold medal. In fact, she's the first person from the state to even make it to the U.S. Olympic swim team. Fans in her hometown of Seward, Alaska, just went wild after Lydia declared victory in the women's 100-meter breaststroke. Here are some interesting facts about the young swimmer. Seward is a small port city where a population of just under 3,000. Yet in the maritime community, swimming has a unique status. Most children join a swim team. Jacoby got noticed at the age of 10 after a breakout performance in elementary school. Since then, she's been on everybody's radar in Alaska. The state's top swim coach, Cliff Murray, pointed to Jacoby's kick, crucial to the success of a breaststroker, a God-given gift. Alaska has only one 50-meter pool in Anchorage, over 100 miles from Jacoby's home, so she had to train in a local 25-meter pool. However, the pandemic unexpectedly helped her. The local pool was closed in mid-March last year, and Jacoby then was able to train with the team in Anchorage. But the 50-meter pool is L-shaped, 25 meters in one direction and 25 meters in the other. That was just another challenge for Jacoby to overcome. In Anchorage, for the first time in her swim career, the teen trained twice a day and in all seasons. Jacoby said, "It's become a bigger part of my life than ever before. And this spring, I really put my head down and worked harder." But swimming isn't Jacoby's only interest. The teen excels at music. She's an accomplished double bassist, guitarist, and singer in a band in her hometown. Moving on to election audits, the Justice Department weighed in again. Yesterday, DOJ officially said they're closely tracking the 2020 election audit taking place in Arizona and proposed efforts in several other states. In a newly released guidance, the federal law constraints on post-election audits, the department stated the round of election reviews were unusual and exceedingly rare. It also highlighted that the federal law imposes constraints that counties and states must comply with. Unusual and exceedingly rare. This kind of election we had last year was also unusual and exceedingly rare. This should be the center of the discussion. In the guidance, the DOJ pointed to the Civil Rights Acts and said that the ultimate purpose of the law regarding deferral election records is to secure a more effective protection of the right to vote. It also cited the Voting Rights Act, all suggesting the audits attempt to intimidate, threaten, or coerce people from voting. This is just a repetition of Democrats' narrative in obstructing election reviews. Senate Republicans in the Arizona audit made it abundantly clear that the purpose of the audit is to uncover the irregularities and address them to make sure they don't happen again. The moves the Justice Department has made in the past couple of weeks are startling. It dropped investigations into nursing home scandals in several Democrat-controlled states. It revoked criminal charges against CCP military members accused of lying to the United States. It issued an opinion that claims the COVID-19 vaccine mandate is legal, and now it alleges states conducting an audit are going against federal law. This is the Justice Department we have today? At the end of today's show, let's turn to something a little strange and mysterious. Shanika Joyner and her daughter from Goose Creek, South Carolina, recently witnessed a strange object flying across the sky.
Oh my God. There's something in there. I can see.
I don't know where you're going with.
Was it a ship?
Look.
What is that? I don't feel like the fly.
You see the cloud?
I see the cloud is moving.
Though Joyner filmed the scene for only 45 seconds, she said the object was in their line of sight for around 2 minutes. She said the video doesn't accurately portray the size of the UFO. It appeared much bigger to the naked eye. Although only one flying object is visible in the video, Joyner said there were 2 more that were moving too fast to track. The unusual thing about Joyner's sighting was the object kept changing. At one point, it looks like a cloud, but it's moving very differently from other clouds. When the object was within a mass cloud, it changed into an irregular-shaped flying craft or a jet, but the jet was drifting and rotating. No jets move like this either. State Director of the Mutual UFO Network of the South Carolina chapter, Shara Gilmore, has investigated hundreds of unidentified aerial phenomena cases over the years. She checked out Joyner's video and got the impression that the object was morphing from one thing to another. She said, in one frame, it looks like a plane in nosedive coming down at a steep angle, but then it starts morphing. Then it looks like a cloud. When it goes down through the trees, it almost looks like a disc shape. She used the word morphing because another person reported what was initially thought to be a commercial jet transforming into a flying saucer and then back to the jet. When one reports a phenomenon to Mutual UFO Network, there is a multiple choice option for choosing the shape of the craft seen, such as triangle, round, rectangle, or a cigar shape. Yet the most reported objects aren't craft, but what Gilmore calls orbs. 13 cases of orbs were reported this year, and 10 of them were orange, clear, or white spheres. According to Gilmore, orbs are a global phenomenon, such as the one spotted in Woodbridge, Ontario. And that's it for today, my friends. Check out the playlist right here for more eye-opening content. You can join me in the Eye Opener Telegram chat room and follow me on Newmaker, Gab, Parler, and Getter. Don't forget, please sign up to the email list so that we can stay in touch. I'd like to thank you all, and I'll see you next time.